On a tense and historic night in the Middle East, the skies reportedly filled with the roar of missile engines and the steady buzz of unmanned drones moving across the horizon. Radar screens across the region lit up with hundreds of incoming signals, forcing air defense systems into full alert. According to reports circulating among military analysts and media sources, Iran launched one of the largest coordinated aerial assaults in modern Middle Eastern history. The attack allegedly involved close to 2,000 drones and around 600 missiles fired in multiple waves toward Israeli territory and strategic military targets. The scale of the operation stunned observers and immediately triggered fears that the long-running tensions between Iran and Israel were entering a far more dangerous phase. For years, the rivalry between Iran and Israel has been one of the most volatile geopolitical conflicts in the world. Israel views Iran's expanding missile program and nuclear ambitions as a direct threat to its national survival. Iranian leaders, on the other hand, frequently accuse Israel of conducting covert sabotage operations, cyber warfare campaigns, and targeted assassinations against Iranian scientists and military officials. Over the past decade, this shadow conflict has played out through proxy groups, intelligence operations, and occasional direct confrontations. However, recent developments pushed the confrontation closer to open military conflict. Reports of Israeli strikes targeting Iranian military infrastructure and strategic facilities added fuel to an already volatile situation. Several Iranian commanders and personnel were reportedly killed during these operations, and some key installations were damaged. Iranian leaders publicly vowed retaliation, warning that the response would be severe and carefully calculated. When that retaliation finally came, it appeared to be designed not only as punishment, but also as a demonstration of Iran's growing military capabilities. Instead of a limited strike, Iran allegedly launched a massive and coordinated barrage combining drones, cruise missiles, and high-speed ballistic missiles. Military experts often describe this type of operation as a saturation attack. The idea behind such a strategy is relatively simple but extremely effective in modern warfare. Even the most advanced air defense systems have limits in terms of how many targets they can track and intercept simultaneously. By launching hundreds or even thousands of weapons at once, attackers attempt to overwhelm those defenses. Some of the incoming drones may act.
Overall, including the 20th wave of Operation True Promise 4, more than 2,000 drones and over 600 missiles have been launched against U.S. positions in the region and Zionist targets in the occupied territories, and further attacks against the enemies of our country are still continuing. The constant sound of sirens and the prolonged confinement of residents in shelters in the occupied territories over the past 100 hours of war demonstrate the sustained and managed pace of Iranian projectile launches as part of a severe retaliation against terrorist criminals. The cowardly military forces and equipment of the Zionist regime have hidden among civilian and public layers, but the detection and strikes against the aggressors continue. And in the coming days, the intensity and scope of the attacks
drawing
will increase.
Interceptor missiles and radar attention away from the more dangerous threats that follow. Once defensive systems become busy intercepting dozens of targets, faster and more powerful missiles may slip through the gaps. In this particular assault, drones played a crucial role. Unmanned aerial vehicles have become one of the defining technologies of modern warfare. They are cheaper to produce than advanced missiles and can be deployed in large numbers. Some drones are equipped with explosives and function as loitering munitions, meaning they can circle over a target area before diving into it. Others act as reconnaissance platforms, gathering intelligence and transmitting real-time data back to commanders. When used in large swarms, drones can confuse radar systems and force defenders to expend expensive interceptor missiles on relatively inexpensive targets. Behind the wave of drones, reportedly came one of the most concerning elements of the attack: ballistic missiles, including the Khayber missile, also known as Khayber. This missile represents one of the more advanced pieces of technology in Iran's growing arsenal. The Khayber missile was developed as a medium-range ballistic missile capable of striking targets deep inside enemy territory. Its design focuses on both speed and maneuverability. Unlike older missiles that follow predictable ballistic trajectories, the Khayber can reportedly adjust its path during the final phase of flight. This makes it far more difficult for missile defense systems to calculate an interception point. The missile is also capable of carrying a significant payload, allowing it to deliver powerful conventional explosives to its target. The presence of such missiles in a large-scale attack highlights the increasing sophistication of Iran's military technology. Over the past 2 decades, Iran has invested heavily in missile development, viewing long-range strike capabilities as a way to deter adversaries and project power across the region. Another controversial aspect of the reported attack involves the use of cluster bomb warheads. Cluster munitions are designed to spread destruction over a wide area rather than concentrating it in a single explosion. When a missile carrying a cluster warhead reaches a certain altitude, the warhead opens and releases dozens or sometimes hundreds of smaller bombs. These bomblets fall over a large area and detonate on impact, creating multiple explosions across a broad zone. This type of weapon can be particularly effective against airfields, military bases, and concentrations of equipment. However, cluster munitions are widely criticized because of the humanitarian risks associated with them. Not all bomblets explode immediately upon impact. Some remain on the ground unexploded, effectively turning into small landmines that can injure civilians long after the fighting has ended. Because of these dangers, many countries have signed international agreements banning the use of cluster weapons. Reports suggesting that such warheads may have been used in the attack immediately drew concern among international observers. Facing this massive barrage was Israel's sophisticated multi-layered air defense network. Israel has spent decades building one of the most advanced defensive systems in the world to protect its population and infrastructure from missile threats. The most famous component of this network is the Iron Dome system, which is designed to intercept short-range rockets and drones before they can strike populated areas. Iron Dome has been widely praised for its high interception success rate during previous conflicts. Beyond Iron Dome, Israel also operates David's Sling, a system designed to intercept medium-range missiles and larger aerial threats. At the highest level of the defensive shield is the Arrow missile defense system. Arrow is specifically designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles, sometimes even outside the Earth's atmosphere. By destroying missiles at such high altitudes, the system attempts to prevent debris or explosive payloads from reaching the ground. During the reported attack, all of these systems were likely operating simultaneously. Radar networks would have been tracking incoming objects while interceptor missiles launched rapidly to destroy them in midair. Fighter jets and airborne surveillance aircraft may also have played a role in monitoring the situation and assisting with interception efforts. According to Israeli officials, many of the incoming drones and missiles were successfully intercepted before reaching their intended targets. However, when dealing with hundreds of simultaneous threats, even the most advanced defense systems can be stretched to their limits. Some reports suggest that a small number of projectiles managed to slip through the defensive shield and strike certain areas, although the overall damage appeared limited compared to the scale of the attack. The fact that any weapons managed to penetrate the defenses highlights the challenges of defending against saturation strikes. Military analysts believe this attack reflects a broader shift in the nature of modern warfare. Instead of relying solely on a few highly advanced weapons, many countries are now focusing on combining large numbers of cheaper systems with more sophisticated technology. Drone swarms, coordinated missile launches, and electronic warfare techniques can create complex attack scenarios that challenge even the most technologically advanced defenders. The geopolitical implications of such an event are enormous. A large-scale confrontation between Iran and Israel has the potential to destabilize the entire Middle East. Regional powers closely watch these developments, concerned that further escalation could trigger wider military involvement. Global energy markets also react quickly to such tensions because the Middle East remains a crucial hub for oil and gas supplies. Any disruption to shipping routes or production facilities could have significant economic consequences worldwide. Diplomatic efforts may now intensify as international leaders attempt to prevent the conflict from expanding further. The United States, European powers, and regional governments often push for restraint when tensions between Iran and Israel reach dangerous levels. However, both countries face strong internal pressure to demonstrate strength and respond decisively to perceived threats. The coming days and weeks will likely determine whether this dramatic exchange remains an isolated event or marks the beginning of a more prolonged confrontation. Israel may consider retaliatory strikes aimed at deterring further attacks, while Iran could attempt to maintain pressure through additional drone or missile operations. In such a volatile environment, even a small miscalculation could trigger a chain reaction leading to broader conflict. What remains clear is that the reported drone and missile barrage represents a powerful demonstration of how warfare in the 21st century is evolving. The combination of swarm drones, advanced ballistic missiles like the Khayber, and controversial weapons such as cluster warheads shows how technology and strategy are changing the battlefield. The contest between offensive strike capabilities and defensive missile shields is likely to define future conflicts not only in the Middle East but around the world. As tensions continue to unfold, the world watches closely. The events in the skies over the Middle East serve as a reminder that the balance between deterrence, defense, and diplomacy remains fragile. Whether this moment becomes a turning point toward wider war or a warning that leads to renewed diplomatic efforts is a question that only time will answer.